What's up, y'all? eBay fight predictions in the building. Here to talk about the fight card of Joseph Benavidez versus Deiveson Figueiredo. It's a pretty decent card, man. Some fights to check out in the prelims, or some fighters to check out. Is Joe Duffy's going to be fighting there. Davi Ramos is coming back. So you got some decent fights on the prelims to check out. But you already know what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about main card. And we're going to talk about this banger of a fight. Alexandre Pohanto versus Askarov. Some pretty hard names to say, but some really good flyweights, man. Alexandre coming off a really, really crazy knockout. I forgot the guy's name, but it was on the Korean Zombie Frankie Edgar card, man. That knockout was insane, bro. He had that guy shaking when he fell. And then he had a pretty good fight against Deiveson Figueiredo, man. It was a fight of the night that day. They went at it. And then Askarov is coming off a win over Tim Elliott, man. Looked pretty good against Tim Elliott. Didn't really get to use his wrestling. That's what he's really good at. But he showed his striking, why he's a better striker than Tim Elliott. And fought a really good fight. This is going to be, I think this is going to be, might be fight of the night. There's some other fights that are pretty good on this card, this main card. So, this might steal the show, man. But I'm going to go with Askarov to win this. I think he's going to use his wrestling. And but I wouldn't be surprised if Alexandre can knock him out. But yeah, next fight we got Ariane Lipski versus Luana Carolina. I think her nickname is the Dread. These girls are both coming off wins. I think Irina's highest level of competition she fought was Joanne Calderwood. She lost that. I think she lost to Molly McCain too. So both girls are pretty decent. They both kind of fight similarly, and they go forward. They use a lot of hooks. Luana, she's more of a clinch girl. She uses a lot of the clinch game, near the cage, and she has a pretty good clinch to knee combination. I like her. So this is a hard fight for me to pick because they're both, I think, evenly matched in terms of skill set, and I don't think their skill set is that high. But I'm gonna go with Irina, man. I think she's gonna beat her. I think she's fought better competition than her, and I think that's what's gonna separate her from Luana. Next fight, Marc Diakiese versus Rafael Fiziev. Man, these names are killing me right now. But Raphael, man, I will say one thing about Raphael. Dude, man, I had seen some of his Muay Thai fights before. I was just watching Muay Thai fights, and I guess I seen one of his, and I didn't even know he was an MMA fighter at the time, but I was watching him, and he looked really, really good in those fights, man, and he knocked that fool out with a beautiful 1-2, high kick combination from the lead foot. So he's pretty good. Marc Diakiese, man, he's been in the UFC. For a minute, man, and I guess he was a bit of a hype train back in the day. A lot of people had high hopes for him. He's had some losses to Nasrit Harasov or whatever his name is, the guy that just got knocked out by Drew Dober on the 246 card. He gets the Kelvin Gastelum, looking remarks. He like they call him Kelvin Gastelum's twin. So he lost to him. He lost to Dan Hooker. Who else did he lose? He lost to Derek Close, which I thought was a really close fight. But, I don't know, man. Marc Diakiese is athletic, man. He's strong. He has he's very creative in there. Does a lot of good things. But I think he's going to fight a level of striker that he hasn't really fought since, you could say, even Dan Hooker. Raphael, I looked at his Muay Thai, man. He looked really, really good in some of those Muay Thai fights. I got to check out some of his MMA fights. I haven't seen those, but I was really impressed with what I've seen in some of his Muay Thai amateur fights. So we're going to see. Actually, not amateur, pro fights. So I think I'm going to go Raphael in that fight. Man, next fight, co-main event. Man, this is a good scrap. You got Kelvin Gastelum versus Jack Hermanson, man. These guys are really, really good, man. Both guys coming off losses, though. Kelvin to Darren Till, and for Jack Hermanson, he's coming off a loss to Jared Cannonier. But this is a good stylistic matchup. Basically striker versus grappler, but both guys are pretty decent in those areas of the other counterpart in terms of Gastelum's wrestling. He has decent wrestling and, holds his own in jiu-jitsu. Hermanson can obviously strike. We've seen it in the Jacare fight. He has decent striking. So, they both can hold their own in those areas. But I think this fight is really, really interesting. They both really need a win. But, I think in terms of what they're really good at, Hermansson's obviously going to have to get this to the ground. He's really going to have to take that first round and take whatever Kelvin's going to give him and basically do what Weidman did to Gastelum and, get that arm triangle in and just out-muscle him. Man, Jack Hermansson is a big man. He is not a small guy, guys. He is a big man. And if he can get that arm triangle in, I think he can go a long way for him. And I think he can dominate that fight because he is big, and it doesn't matter how technical and how good you are at grappling. Sometimes size and just getting out muscled can play a big part in not only just grappling but in also in fights. So I can see it going that way. But we've seen Kelvin Gastelum fight grapplers. He fought Jacare, which was a close fight though. That was a close fight between Gastelum and Jacare. That was a split decision, I remember. But he fought Tim Kennedy. It looked amazing against Tim Kennedy. If there's ever a performance to look at, it's that Tim Kennedy performance. But I think the height, Tim was bigger, but the height, they were, I think, the similar height. Or Tim was just a little taller. So that's why it didn't, I don't think that the size played a big factor in that. But man, did Gastelum just look on another level than Tim Kennedy. Man, probably one of my favorite Gastelum performances of all time, man. That his job was on the line. I felt like, if you remember, he missed weight against Donald Cerrone at the 205 pay-per-view that he was supposed to fight at in MSG. So, his job was kind of on the line. But I think, man, Gastelum, I know he has the loss of Darren Till, and I think he kind of, obviously it was a close fight, but he kind of got schooled in that fight in terms of just the basis of striking, and I think he underestimated how good Darren Till was going to come and how much Darren Till was going to respect his power and not trying to, go, get in a brawl with him. And I think he learned a lot from that. So he's obviously gonna be fighting a guy that is probably gonna be looking to take him down, and he's gonna have to respect that. And I think what he's really gonna have to do is just do that sprawl and brawl, man. Put that 1-2, put an easy jab on him, and just outwork him. But Hermansson, he can win this fight, but I just, man, Gastelum's level, he should be a top 5 guy. I think Jack Hermansson's a top 5 guy also, but man, Gastelum, he did so well in that Israel Adesanya fight, man. He really, really proved something to me there. And, he has, in my opinion, one of the best 1-2s in the game, man. Just beautiful jab cross. It's just a beautiful. And the way he knocked out Michael Bisping, bro, the kid's good. But so I'm gonna have to go Kelvin Gastelum on that. But this is a hard one. I could see Hermansson getting that submission, and just based on size, based on his grappling ability, he's so slick on the ground. He treated David Branch like a nobody, and David Branch is a Renzo Gracie black belt. So I'm leaning towards Kelvin just based on the striking advantage. So that's what I'm going with. But next fight, we go to the main event. Joseph Benavidez versus Deiveson Figueiredo. Man, this is such an interesting fight, man. This fight even got better. The first time they announced it, I wasn't that too thrilled about the fight. I thought Joseph was getting screwed. I thought he should have fought Formiga, for the title fight. But just the timing was all off, and, they thought, I guess, Cejudo was going to defend his belt at 125, and it never ended up happening. But, I thought if he would have fought Formiga and Formiga has a win over Deiveson Figueiredo, he probably would have been okay. But, it ended up not working out, and Deiveson ends up fighting Joseph. And I just had a really bad feeling that, Deiveson was going to knock him out. I just feel like he was tailor-made to knock him out. Joseph can wrestle, but he's not gonna use that wrestling at the time. And you can look at one of my older videos. I said a lot of this stuff. But now looking at the fight now,
it is interesting. I don't know what Joseph Benavidez is gonna come out, but he has to have learned from the first fight and know the way Formiga beat Deiveson Figueiredo. It is something you can replicate. I don't think it was a fluke. Like, Davison says, I don't think he came in bad shape. I think he came in the best shape possible. I think his arms got tired. I do respect him. It does take a certain amount of mental toughness to have a lactic acid build through your arms and still continue to go forward and try to fight. So I respect him for that. But the way Formiga fought him and took him out, that was just pure skill. And I think Joseph has that skill. He has the experience. He has the mat time to replicate that. And they got some heat. They don't like each other, man. Joseph did an interview with Brett Okamoto talking about, man, he wants Deiveson to feel what he felt because Deiveson was making jokes about headbutting him and stuff like that. And he was like, I want him to get a concussion. I want him to feel dizzy after the fight. I want him to have headaches. So they don't like each other, man. And if Joseph can win this fight, and then maybe they can do a trilogy, trilogy down the line, I think it would be really, really good, man. These guys are. I think it's gonna be a good fight, man. And I think this is the kind of stuff we need at flyweight. Deiveson is just a pure bad guy. He got total bad guy, But I think this is gonna be a banger, man. I'm ready for this fight, but yeah, and also I'm gonna let you guys know this if they do end up scrapping the fight because Deiveson did test positive for COVID. I will make a live stream and talk about the next opponent and give my prediction on there, but so I'm gonna release this probably on Tuesday. So, it is what it is. But I'm going to be going Joseph Benavidez. I'm just saying that if I didn't say it before. And hope you guys enjoyed this video. And like and, comment and subscribe. All right, see y'all.